1991 Review, a record of a mortal's journey to immortality. Ancestral master takes action, humiliating the arrogant. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 1991 Review. At the end of the previous episode, as night fell over Tianxian City, the atmosphere, which was originally filled with ethereal spiritual energy, suddenly became tense. Hanli was still diligently searching for the brush to create the spirit-binding talisman, an extremely rare magical tool. Just as he planned to return for rest after days of hard travel, he was unexpectedly drawn into a major incident, a fierce quarrel, with faint murderous intent rising from a curious crowd. Collision ancestral master appears. Nascent soul grandmaster descends. Not far away, Sun Hua, core formation stage, of the Luoyan sect was being falsely accused by a greedy shopkeeper and his assistant. They forced Sun Hua to compensate them with up to 300 high-grade spirit stones for a damaged Fire Cloud talisman. Even though Sun Hua rationally explained that this mid-tier primary talisman was only worth a third of that price. When Sun Hua attempted to use his sect token as collateral, the shopkeeper, like a dog-eyed mortal who looked down on others, grew even bolder. Not only did the old man refuse, but he also uttered arrogant, treasonous remarks, calling the Luoyan sect riffraff, starving ghosts clinging to the robes of major sects, insults to the honor cultivation that could not be forgiven. Sun Hua was shaking with rage, his spiritual seat churning, but he forced himself to endure. He had no choice but to use his pile of low-grade talismans as debt, desperately trying to keep half of a torn yellow talisman that contained a family secret. Just as the shopkeeper reached out to snatch the last ragged piece of talisman, an invisible figure flashed forth like an ice-cold wind, firmly grasping the old man's greedy arm. Who is it? Who dares interfere with this old man's business? The shopkeeper shrieked in a thin voice, suppressed by an invisible force. Han Li, his face as cold as millennial ice, did not bother to reply to the lowly mortal. He merely issued a chilling question, carrying a killing intent tempered over tens of thousands of years. You just said this and that about our Luoyan sect. Do you dare repeat that statement one more time? As soon as he finished speaking, Han Li's terrifying nascent soul stage spiritual pressure, Ling pressure, exploded, sweeping across the area like a spiritual power tidal wave. It was supreme, unparalleled pressure that made the surrounding space seem frozen. All mortals and low-level cultivators, including Foundation Establishment and Qi Condensation disciples, prostrated themselves, their bones creaking, feeling as if Mount Tai was pressing down on their heads. The spiritual energy in their bodies completely stagnated, making it impossible to breathe. Two core formation cultivators passing by, who originally carried a hint of arrogance, turned pale, their spiritual light dissolving, terrified to the point of nearly collapsing. Even a law enforcement emissary of the Nine Nations Alliance, a cultivator of status who had flown over to deal with the disturbance, immediately felt the breath of death. The emissary trembled, realizing this was a nascent soul grandmaster in a furious rage, and instantly changed his tune, deferentially calling out Senior, then turned to harshly scold the shopkeeper, hoping to appease the great power's anger. The shopkeeper and his assistant were scared out of their wits, knowing they had offended a major figure. They immediately kowtowed, begging for mercy, and admitted the talisman was fake. With the matter settled, Han Li wasted no more time. He coldly activated the Earth Escape technique, Tu Dun Shu. A layer of golden earth swirled up, enveloping Sun Hua, and the two vanished without a trace into the ground, leaving the crowd plunged into extreme terror. Scroll the old oath, opportunity, or shackles. In a secluded area, Han Li began to interrogate Sun Hua about the torn talisman piece. When he took out his own half, the two fragment spiritual energies interlinked, fitting together seamlessly, emitting an ancient light. Sun Hua realized this was a family heirloom token, and confirmed that he was a seventh-generation descendant of Sun Ergu, the mortal whom Han Li had saved many years ago, who had sworn a heaven and earth oath that his descendants would serve as benefactor for generations. Han Li, whose character was always transparent and fair, presented two paths. End the karma, accept some high-grade elixir/magical tools, and go their separate ways. The heaven and earth oath would be considered void. Continue the oath, be subjected to a soul restriction sealed by Han Li, forcing absolute loyalty and acceptance of dangerous tasks. In return, receive the protection of a nascent soul grandmaster, guidance in cultivation, and the promise of being assisted in breaking through to the core formation stage, a heaven-defying cultivation opportunity Sun Hua dared not dream of. Sun Hua requested time to contemplate the fate of his life, and Han Li agreed, arranging to meet again after returning to the sect. Brain a master of deception, Han Li's perfect scam. After parting ways, Han Li went to the Star Dragon Pavilion, as agreed with true person Qianxing. He presented the valuable soul stones, making the old Taoist priest salivate, his eyes flashing with unconcealed greed. The old man immediately revealed information about the Gung Star Sand. Gung Jing 1 block would be auctioned, and another was in the hands of a mysterious nascent soul cultivator in the west. Thanks to his vision and refined experience, Hanli guessed that the old Taoist was secretly collecting soul stones to refine the ancient puppet art, Kue Lei Shu. He immediately increased the bait, throwing out 2 even larger soul stones, fabricating a mystical, vague story that had obtained them from the corpse of an underworld demonic beast in a near-death secret realm. True person Qianqing was completely fooled and believed him wholeheartedly. Finally, Hanli decided to trade the pile of superb soul stones for a jade slip, recording the secret art for creating the ancient puppet. After reading the jade slip, Hanli pretended to fly into a rage, his face twisted with deep resentment and vexation. He criticized the secret art as being powerful, but lamented that the main material, 10,000-year ironwood, was extinct and impossible to find. True person Qianqing smirked internally, thinking it successfully scammed Hanli, trading a useless secret art for a pile of precious soul stones. A perfect fraud. Hanli, the old demon, threw the soul stones to the old Taoist and left with a bitter expression, as if he had been cheated. However, as soon as he stepped outside, the corner of his mouth instantly curved into a sinister smile, full of deep calculation. In reality, he already possessed the necessary 10,000-year ironwood and supplementary materials from his previous trip to the Void Heaven Palace. He only feigned anger to ensure the old Taoist remained completely at ease, harboring no suspicion about the true value of the jade slip. Spiritual poverty. The Gung Star Sand Auction. Next, Hanli participated in the Gung Star Sand Auction. The price was pushed up maniacally, without restraint by the major sects, reaching 760,000 spirit stones. Despite his wealth, Hanli still had to acknowledge the enormous disparity in financial power compared to the truly major forces. He regretfully gave up, accepting his spiritual poverty and defeat in this war currency. After the transaction, Hanli bought some supplementary materials for puppet crafting, then recalled the words of Marquis Nanlong. He flew toward the west gate of the city, beginning to track down clues for a new mysterious venture. This concludes episode 171 of A Record of a Mortal's Journey to Immortality. Goodbye, and see you in the next videos.